everybody, I want to Wiisdom here. It is 2:17 in the morning, Tuesday, September 19th. I've come in big day, Monday the 18th. Shotgun Farmers had a patch 0.2 with the roadside tomatoes upgrade, if you will. We got the Gromato launcher I've been talking about for a long time. The roadside map of the Beats Motel was released. So I got home from work, made some supper, and promptly, I should say, got on to check that out. Went ahead, decided I'd make a video on it, so I'll be releasing that. If you're interested, it will be the morning video, so it would have released right before this one in the afternoon. Shotgun Farmers, in addition to that update I should say, and upgrade really, it is on sale for $7.49 on Steam. So that's the first time it's been on sale. It's typically $9.99, $7.49. You save a little bit of cash and you get a good game. So computer sounding ticked off, so I was making sure we weren't dropping any frames. I tell you what, the other big item that you might be interested in, if you didn't watch my channel update for September, which released yesterday, I encourage you to do so. It's got some very exciting news at the beginning of it. I kind of cover the plans for Skylanders. More importantly, though, if you were somehow unaware, and you very well could be, let's be honest, Robo and the Lost Imaginite Mines, just as I said I thought would happen, just like I believed in my heart of Skyland's hearts, we finally have Robo stateside at a retailer. Not an Amazon seller, not an eBay scalper, not someone that just traveled abroad and smuggled it home. Toys R Us is getting roughly a case per store, which is like 6 in terms of adventure packs. So it's very, very limited. At this point in time, are scalpers paying attention? I would imagine a few are. A lot of people, I can even tell by the views on these videos, the Skylanders ones in particular, a lot of people have just checked out of the series. They've lost interest. They've written it off. For the hardcore, the diehards, this is your chance to get it. Personally, I'm hoping that they not only have some allocations going to Toys R Us, but they utilize GameStop, Walmart, Target, Best Buy, literally any retailer that will take them, so we have a good chance of landing it. But if soon as I am able to land it, assuming I can land it, which again, you've got to think 6 per store, that's pretty anemic. But if I'm able to get it, you better believe the first thing you're going to see is the unboxing. Then we'll probably introduce, then upgrade Robo, and eventually I'll actually probably save Cursed Tiki Temple and the Lost Imaginite Mines for the last things we do here at Imaginators. So that's some very big news there for you. Plus, I think it's a buy one get 4 free at Toys R Us through like the 23rd. The last like 3 times I've been in that store, they've had sales and they don't honor them. The last time I was trying to pick up like the traps, their special comic traps, and they wouldn't honor the sale price. I'm like, okay, I'll just leave and not buy anything then. And now, of course, they're facing bankruptcy, which I kind of have to say, I wonder why it took so long. It's sort of mismanagement issues there. You can tell, particularly at your local stores, when it's mismanaged, you know, like when you go in at night and they have like 8 high school kids and none of them can work the cash register, and you have to help them do it, you know, walk them through it, and then, you know, they can't search for anything and they're just screwing around, riding bikes up and down the aisles. Yeah, there's a lack of management. That now, some stores could be completely different, but overall, they're very expensive. They put a premium on everything. They justify it based on their stock. I've got to say though, that's not a great strategy in today's time, and particularly you have to realize Toys R Us is not a commonplace store. There's a lot of people that have access to, you know, Walmart and GameStop, and a few more people have access to Target. few more people have access to Best Buy, and then last on the totem pole would be Toys R Us. These aren't a dime a dozen. They're not like Walgreens. They're not on every corner. If you're not in an urban area with a decent population base, you probably don't have one. And everything Toys R Us exclusive, including legendaries, you either have to drive, most likely an hour plus to get to, or you have to hope that you can order it in online. I try to tell people this, but so many people are relegated to the coastal areas or urban population centers where you have multiple Toys R Us. You might hate the manager at one. You always hear people complain they had to go to 3 different Best Buys to get the steel-plated Skylanders. I don't have that luxury, all right? And if I wanted to go to another Toys R Us, I would be driving roughly 4 hours. If I wanted to go to another Best Buy, I think it's like 2.5 hours out. And like I said, there's many people who Toys R Us, the closest one, not another one or the second one or a different store, the closest Toys R Us is going to be hours away. And not a lot of people can justify driving hours on end to go and try to get something that may or may not be in the store. So always keep that in mind. But I kind of like Toys R Us. You know, they do have good sales from time to time. That's really their saving grace. Their prices when nothing is on sale is egregious. Unless it's like a new released game, you know, and $59.99 is commonplace across the board. But they do have pretty good sales. A lot of people don't give them credit for that. I will. But I've had issues with the 2 stores closest to me. One of them several hours away. And that store really sucks. Mine, it's just they don't have great management. That one, they have people that shouldn't have any power at all. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Anyway, and why would you be mean at a toy store of all things? You know. Anyway, let's get down to business here. This is Dr. Cortex. He has been the quickest upgrades we've probably ever done time-wise. So, but for old time's sakes, I wanted to do this. Not bounce on. Well, that's fun too. But look at that, Persephone. She's relegated to not even having a speaking role. We can't hear about the happy dance that we will do when we upgrade. So I've gone ahead. I purchased his base upgrades. I did force myself to go through Scholar Phil to reacquire his Sky Chi, which I will not miss doing that. But what we're going to do, we took the bottom path here, or as I like to call it, Wonderful Wizardry. It's not terrible. The problem is it hinges upon you being attacked with projectiles. If you've got a horde of enemies, or the only enemies left are, Cyclops spinners, or, something that swings an axe, or punches you, or basically doesn't shoot a projectile, this is kind of not that great. It does have a place. If I had 2 Cortexes, I would have zero hesitation having this one handy, but it's very strange to me to have a path limited on that. It's not something we control. I could go through a level and we could barely get any benefit from this if the enemies don't have projectiles. It's just kind of a weird setup. It's interesting because they haven't really done it before. And it's not like one of these hinges on it. This whole path. The other thing, myself and Spyro557 has confirmed this. This is kind of cool. I mean, that one, I enjoy it. Although it's kind of wonky. It doesn't work quite as well as you would think it does. But the explosion from Uka Uka, it doesn't do anything. Like, there's just a puff of purple smoke and he's gone and you get nothing. Early on, Ethan, when we introduced all these characters, he was saying he preferred the top path here. So that's what we're going to take. It is Gadgets Galore. Tinker with better technology and learn electronic supersonic powers. Again, if you're interested in Wonderful Wizardry, it is not terrible. It's just oddly limited by design, for whatever that may or may not be worth to you. But like I said, if I did have a second Cortex, I think it would be worth having on tap. I'm hoping that I like this top path better. Everyone's telling me I will. But who knows? I might wind up saying, you know what? It's okay, but I sort of prefer that weird one. So you could even call this that weird path or that weird projectile path. But We're going to go with Gadgets Galore. And it's a thing like it's defensive too. It's not like we shoot the projectiles. We only get to use the defensive capabilities when we're being assaulted with projectiles. Just kind of a total mind bender there. But Gadgets Galore, let's do it, man. In TROPY'S slow-mo flow. My apologies to Cuddle Muffin. I intended to do this with him, but it's 2:27 on a Monday night. So I'm assuming the man's asleep. Plus, he's like 2 hours eastern edges of Canada out there, so it's probably like 4:30 in the morning. I would assume he's asleep, but who knows. 1,700 is the price. We're going to hold B and release to place an entropy staff which damages enemies on impact and slows enemies in an area for a while. Why am I here when I prefer to be downstairs for logging damage numbers? Because I saw that it would slow enemies down. So that's our primary. There's our secondary. And if I hold B... Oh, you get to pick the position? Okay. Oh, and it's got the N for Neo Cortex. That's kind of a cool touch. And it looks like a bottle cap. Oh, it kind of hooks him. Okay. Let's do that again. Was that 46?
How do you like them apples?
Ha! I didn't know he said that. Alright, let's take a look at that again.
You can hear me growing.
So, hold B, release, place a staff, damage enemies on impact, and slows enemies in an area for a while. So, that's all there is to it. There's nothing else, at least that I'm aware of at this point in time. So, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. I'm going to go with 13-ish seconds. So, 13-second slow-mo. And I think it was 46 to 69. I'm not 100% sure. What was that? Was it 16? Frick, I can't tell. Can we do it? Okay, you can only have one. And if you don't hit them with it, it's not going to generate the damage for you. That was 16, wasn't it? I genuinely think it was. They're putting the numbers out so low. I'm pretty sure that was 16. That's kind of disappointing, mainly because I thought it was 46 the first time. This is why I double check things, but... So it's actually probably going to be pretty useful, but we'll see. Note when I need to exterminate them, I go straight to the blaster. Alright, so... Insane Bolt. Shooting while entropy staff is active makes the device... Oh, that was my other computer. I was like, I wasn't rendering a video here. Shooting while entropy staff is active makes the device shoot sparks randomly in the area. 2200. This should be worthwhile, I think. So that one was kind of lame, but the slow-mo cool. And then it actually lasts quite a while, which is the big deal. So, let's do this. And 16. And they're going to do 16. Can I also shoot him? I can. So, that's not bad. I could get used to it. It's like Earthworm Jim type stuff. Remember that cartoon, anyone? The game came first in that case, but shoot. I'm going to call it the orb. Shoot the orb. Sparks fly. 16 to 24. So let's do it again. And let's grab another dummy here. And I can just sort of come in and start wailing away. Now, can I do it? Will that do anything? I don't think it does. You must be limited to... Will the mines do anything? And, oh. I don't think so. I mean, they're not interacting in any way, shape, or form with this. Sadly. I still like, personally, the hoverboard It's kind of like my favorite thing in the mines. I'm still kind of sad, particularly given how weird this path is down here. I'm really, really sad the mines weren't addressed. I think they could have been amazing. So basically you shoot that thing with your primary attack, the blaster gun, and you get sparks at 16 to 24. The gun itself will still do 24 to 36, so that is worth noting. But yeah. Up next we have Blaster Fracture for 3k. Being struck by an insane bolt, which that's what this is, powers up the blaster beam. Laser shots split into multiple projectiles for a short time. Insane bolts try to land nearby until a boost is grabbed. Okay, so the plot thickens. Before we buy that, I want to make sure, like, didn't we have a... Will that do anything with our secondary? Our new staff attack? Let's find out. It's still 16. We're just getting the 43 on the impact there. So
Another win.
that's unfortunate. That's what I wanted to know, though. So here we go. Blaster Fracture. Basically, it looks like our 24 to 36 from the blaster beam will have a chance here to increase. I don't know how many we can pick up or if it's just one, but being struck by the insane bolt powers up the blaster beam, the primary attack. Laser shots, multiple projectiles. Okay. Did I buy that? I did, right? Okay. I kept exiting out. I kind of forgot. So let's take a look at this solo without any enemies here. So it came right to me. Oh. Yep. That makes this path worthwhile. Now note we're not getting one. Is it still 16 to 24? Yes. 24 to 36. I got one. I waited it out too long, apparently. So please, thank you. 24. What? That... okay. There must be more to this, right? That's odd. So how long does that last? Let's figure that out. So 7 shots? I'm thinking it's 7 shots. Let me try and find out for sure. Well, it was 4 there. Missed it. Alright, so I'll rattle it off as quick as I can. It's like 7 to 8. 7 to 9, basically. Let's get a time frame on it this time. Roughly like 6 seconds, 7 to 9, but I don't think it's doing an increase in damage, which sucks. Big time. Okay, so we're going to come in now and check out the Soul Gem. Wanted, dead, or a pie. Hold X to transform the gun to a staff and release to knock nearby enemies up. Keep pressing X to shoot the knocked up enemies and keep them up there. My research last time, we basically hold it 2 seconds. There's a 360-degree radius of 81 to 122. Knocked up enemies can be shot at 24 to 36. So let's pick that up and see what we can work with here. Alright, here we go. Actually, we'll want all of them. Should have done the Sky Chi first, but whatever. You ready for this? It's still doing the 24. And we'll finish them off right here. Okay, that was easy. So that's actually a pretty cool Soul Gem, I have to say. The Sky Chi power, we slide over. We've got Rehabilitator, Rehabilitalaser. The ultimate sensei attack. Hold the right trigger to perform your Sky Chi power. Use left stick to target where the laser will go. This is basically just 50 to 75. Not sure on the grand finale. If I can try to keep one alive, I will. Let's go ahead and get everybody in here. And we got our 4 dummies. Here we go. So as you can see, if I work that, I want to keep them alive. 405 on the crit. Oh, that was pretty cool.
You never had a
So let me go ahead and log that. I'll do the math later off camera. And again, you can see it all in the Skylander Club forum when I make my comprehensive posts. So that said, what I want to do now is actually run downstairs and see if we can appreciate this a little bit more. I've got to say, I'm a little bummed out with both of these paths. Personally, like, the money is right here, the hoverboard and the mines, and neither of them was addressed. The Soul Gem is awesome. I have no issues with it. The Sky Chi is fine. Wonderful Wizardry, really the drawback to that is, again, just that it only works when you're facing projectiles. And then you do that voodoo. Sorry. If I had to pick between Cortex and voodoo, I would take voodoo, and I would wreck Cortex in the battle arena. And I hope that they deliver the standalone battle game of my dreams unexpectedly in 2018. But let's go ahead and have some fun here. So, boom, 24 to 36. That is the exact same damage that we do box stock. The jump attack. Oh, sorry. Well, that 81 to 122, and they don't go flying, so I can't shoot them. The jump attack is weird because it's a secondary. It's the exact same box stock 43 to 65. Mask the Pain 43 to 65. That is the exact same damage we were doing to begin with. The mines 36 to 54. The hoverboard is 23. We get 10 seconds, 70 to 105 on the explosion. Boom. 36, 54, just like it was. The multi-mines were showcased there. Masquerade is the final one. If there was a projectile attack coming from those dummies, I could do that and it would block them. Then we come in and we have gadgets galore. So the best thing about this is possibly the slow motion. We get like 13 seconds and it does 16 to 24 on impact, okay? The insane bolt, we shoot the orb and sparks fly at 16 to 24. So let's try to just showcase. So we're doing the 24 to 36 on the bottom dummy. Any other numbers, 16 to 24, are the actual sparks from the orb, as I like to call it. Blaster Fracture, though, if I was closer, and you see that whole time we never got the bonus up where Cortex gets the power boost. So if we come in and we do this and I stand in it, you can see I get this. And now it's a pretty cool deal and it's going to be useful, but there's no increase in damage. And actually I maintain that the entire freaking time. Okay, so you're going to want to be inside, and I guess you have a better propensity of catching the boosts. Let's try that again, actually. What's insane to me, though, is that the damage numbers never increase. So that one came to me. I'm doing the 24 to 36. The sparks are 16 to 24. What is just the straight-up laser? Is it 24, or is it 16? It's hard to know, actually. I think it's 16 to 24. I feel like those lasers are accosting that guy, and it's not really doing anything. Or I guess they're 24 to 36. They're just multi-directional. So that's basically what we need to log that as.
Hear me growing smarter.
So what I'm really struggling to understand is why we never really got an increase. Like, in my personal opinion, gadgets galore. Number one, by the namesake. I'm thinking gadgetry-wise, we would have the gun and we would have the mines. And we really only work with the gun, unfortunately. The mines, again, in my opinion, are the best thing Cortex has going, particularly the fact that they work in conjunction with the hoverboard. That's just a whole lot of fantastical stuff right there. But Blaster Beam is the same damage, fully upgraded, complete with Soul Gem and Sky Chi, as it was if you were to go out and purchase the Thumpin' Whoompa Islands Adventure Pack, throw it on the portal for the first time right now. Mask the Pain, exact same story. I'm fully upgraded with Cortex. I do 43 to 65 here. You do 43 to 65 with your brand new Dr. Neo Cortex. The fact that neither the primary nor the secondary were ever increased in base damage is weird to me, and I don't like it. The fact that the mines are so freaking awesome, and the hoverboard is so cool, and we never see those addressed is disappointing. The fact that the entire bottom path, Wonderful Wizardry, hinges basically upon enemies having projectiles is the craziest part of all this. It's actually, like I said, it's honestly, in my opinion, is not terrible. It's just vastly limited. I would say the same thing about if this only worked if enemies were brawlers, if they had to be in your face throwing punches or swinging hammers and axes. I would have the exact same criticism of it. It's just something that we've not seen before. Typically, on an upgrade path, if it is defensive, it's like got a little offense mixed with it, or the defense becomes offensive. It's never been something that like hinges on the enemy, you know? That's just really, really strange. Again, there would be stretches of this game where you would primarily have enemies that don't have projectiles, and you just are up a creek, you know? This does work well, I will say, the Boo-Ooka Boo-Ooka. And it would destroy projectiles, which is cool, but it does work on all enemies. That's a nice touch. In order for this to function, for him to defend the area, which isn't long and it's nothing to really write home about, you have to be attacked by a projectile, and you have to block it. If you get hit with a projectile from behind because you're like inundated with enemies, or there's a horde, or you're going after the life spell punk first or something, you get nothing from this. It's just strange. And then Uka Uka also now explodes projectiles when he blocks them. You know, he explodes, but it does nothing. And then I think every once in a while there might be a deflection, but that's almost like a complete waste in my opinion. And then over here, this isn't terrible. It's kind of fun actually, but it's not the easiest thing to control. So coming in here, Entropy slow-mo flow, I'm not sure if it works on like the hardiest of enemies, but it's at least functional. The fact that it doesn't do damage on like the radius of it is sort of frustrating. I could hone in on one enemy and get to 16 to 24, and then like anyone within it is going to be slowed down, but they wouldn't take damage. I'm not asking for 13 seconds of damage. I'm just saying like maybe the radius, just like on his jump attack, if we had that, it would have been appreciated. But the slow motion, zero issues there. The sparks flying off actually makes this something that you would want to use, which that's probably why they implemented it. 16 to 24, that's okay. It's slightly less than your blaster beam. It makes a little bit of sense. And then blaster fracture, being struck by an insane bolt, which again is right here, that hits your guy Cortex, particularly if you just stay inside of it. Although that kind of defeats the purpose of slowing enemies down that are in it. Nonetheless, laser shots split into multiple projectiles for a short time. So we're going to log those at 24 to 36. It basically takes, you know, back in the day where instead of shooting one projectile at a time, you would shoot three and it would Y off or make a trident or whatever. That's sort of what we have here. I think it's kind of multi, like an X, like you see there, 4 ways type of a thing across. So it does have practicality, but honestly, if I could have just had the blaster beam increase, even if it was just a 36 to 48, or even like a 30 to 45, somewhere mixed in, or as a standalone, it would have been awesome. Anything we could have done with the mines, I would have loved. I honestly, I don't think you can go wrong with either one of these paths. I think the top path makes the most sense for the greater number of players. But if you're all about kind of like what's the most unique, it would be the bottom path, and there's really not been anything like that in the game that I can think of. The slow motion thing, pretty cool too by its own rights, but based on the base upgrades, like which granted, tertiary, I had like ridiculously high hopes, and I will say he's still a crud ton of fun to play with. I used him quite a bit when I went into Scholarville, because I was going to reset him anyway. So it worked out well there, and I love the mines. But it's just weird to be the same numbers 1, 2, and 3, your primary, secondary, and tertiary, never increase across either upgrade path. That's just kind of strange, I've got to say. The Soul Gem is just cool. It's not necessarily the most practical thing, but honestly, holding that X button for 2 seconds and dealing 81 to 22, that becomes his most potent attack, just in, singular damage numbers at 81 to 122. The Sky Chi is pretty fantastic, which that's to be expected. This one is fun and memorable in my opinion, Dead or Up High. And both of these paths are very memorable, and they're unique, which that's always been something I care about in Skylanders. Is it unique? If this was just like, your punch does more damage, your punch now does even more damage, and your punch does even more damage than it did. While I would appreciate that, I'd be like, man, I wish we got like uppercuts or combos or a ground pound or something with the tertiary. Both paths lack the tertiary enhancements in my opinion. And the weirdest thing though, and why I would have to say take the top path if you're in doubt, is just the fact that so much of the bottom hinges upon you facing projectile enemies. Not you using the mask instead of the laser or the mines, but you literally have to face a certain type of enemy. And that's just mind-boggling to me. But I will say, like I mentioned, I kind of like the path. I just have to acknowledge what it is, which is kind of wonky because of its stipulations. That's just kind of weird. But overall, I think both are decent. It's just neither's quite what I expected, and the bottom just has such a strange prerequisite, But I think the slow motion thing will come in pretty handy in game, and then it'll kind of tie in and make these be a little better. Even though we're doing the 24 to 36, when that Y is off and we get like the X formation or the 4 dissipations of the laser gun, we're basically multiplying it by 4, so you could sort of justify that. Nonetheless, you could have even left that box stock and just bumped the gun up a little bit somewhere on this path. But overall, regardless of my complaints with both of the paths, I think they both have their place, but I'll honestly be spending most of my time on the hoverboard dropping mines and running around throwing mines because I absolutely love that. So overall, it's still a win-win, but those are my thoughts on Cortex. Again, just kind of by default, I would have to recommend Gadgets Galore once more just because of the fact that there is a stipulation regarding what enemies you face to get the full utility out of Wonderful Wizardry. So I'm pretty sure most everyone will agree with me there. You can't deny that. Like, this path up top, Gadgets Galore, it doesn't matter if the enemy is projectiles, close range brawler, melee short range projectile, stationary enemy. It doesn't matter. With the bottom path, it literally has to be a projectile-based enemy to utilize the full potential, and that's just kind of sad. But nonetheless, I think both will be fun. If I had a second Cortex, I would totally actually have Wonderful Wizardry, even as much as I've complained about it. It does have its merits, I do believe. But sadly, money doesn't grow on trees, and so I don't have a second Cortex. If I did, it would be custom painted, and it would be on Wonderful Wizardry. Let's just end with that. But nonetheless, let me know your thoughts on this, if you agree with me, if you think I'm crazy, whatever they may be. And like I said, if I'm able to ascertain Robo and the Lost Imaginite Mines at long last here in middle to late September, that will be the next Skylanders video that you see. So I might even interrupt our Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday schedule of Skylanders greatness to drop that unboxing for you. But nonetheless, if we can't land that or I'm unable to pick it up initially, I will hope that other stores and retailers get it. I will always keep you updated on Twitter. Like if I were to go out tomorrow, land it, that's the first place I'm going to post a picture or tell you. So Twitter, I'm at One of Wiisdom. If you're not on Twitter, you can go to my website, oneofwiisdom.com, and I've got my Twitter feed on the right-hand sidebar, so you can kind of keep tabs on things there. But that is the agenda. I am unsure if Thursday's video will be us going into what I think is the Chaos Battle. There could be multiple chapters left, but I don't know that there are. We're basically going to where Chaos is. So if there's that and then the Chaos Battle in another chapter, you know, that's the route we'll take. But if I can't get Robo, you might see that. Or we might jump into Imaginator research. We'll just kind of have to see how it goes down. But I will do my best to get Robo and the Lost Imaginite Mines. I'm excited about both, but in particular the Lost Imaginite Mines, just because I've got these images of it in my head where it's very much akin to the SSA Heroic Challenges. I loved the mining levels. They were super cool. And yes, I do plan to use Prism Break. So I will leave it at that. But hope you enjoyed here. Let me know your thoughts on Cortex and Crash. I think they'll actually, while I don't feel any of their stuff like showcased extremely well here, it's not like, wow, you know, type of stuff. Both of them had fantastic base upgrades. And the main thing, I think they're both going to be really fun to play with in the game. You know, they might not be like a Grave Clobber or a Wildstorm for me, but I feel like we're going to enjoy them when we play as them. And ultimately, if you can pull that rabbit out of your hat, you're doing something right. So that said, again, check out the channel update. I kind of highlight some of my Skylander plans there. And Shotgun Farmers, once again, it is on sale on Steam. I mention the game a lot because I love it. It's really, really cool. Quasi, you can catch his streams and literally see the man making the game. Late last week, I saw him when he was like working on the roadside map, and I was playing it tonight, and I was like, hey, that's the ice machine I saw him make. And there's also a turbine on top of the convenience store. It's just really cool. If you're into game design, or it's something you want to get into or think you might be interested in, check that stuff out. It's the indie people that you can really appreciate and learn the most from. AAA stuff, corporate stuff, they're not on there on Twitch taking your feedback, adding your ideas to the game. They're doing their own thing. It's really pretty cool. That's one of the reasons I like to play so many indie games. But nonetheless, I will quit rambling and get this thing editing, rendering, and uploading so I can call it a night. But 2:54 in the morning. If you haven't gotten Robo and the Lost Imaginite Mines here in the U.S., hopefully you can score them. Might keep it on the down low, honestly, just to keep scalpers away. And like I said, they are available, but in extremely limited quantities, so keep that in mind. That said, thanks so much for watching. I will catch you back here in the next installment of Skylanders Research. Adios.